Poverty is an enormous burden. It's a burden that is shouldered not just by First Nations people that live this experience. It's a burden on all Canadians. It's a burden on Canada. It represents a stain on Canada internationally. There's no reason for the poverty that we experience to exist in a country as rich as Canada is. No one has been able to explain to us, and it makes sense, that such poverty should exist. We believe that by working together, by establishing the kinds of relationships that we know have worked, by working together in partnership, by ensuring that we are able to revitalize First Nation economies, that this will be beneficial not just to our people, but to the entire country. And for those that have achieved success with that approach, the answer seems rather simple. Right? It's really about respect. It's about reaching out. It's about understanding each other. Right? Respect is so very important. And I appreciate the fact that you have to earn respect. But we've tried reaching out to all Canadians, asking Canadians to join with us in fixing what is terribly wrong in this country. And what we are asking for is not more than what we're entitled to, not more than what we deserve, but what everyone expects. It's the chance to take full control over our lives, to make the decisions that affect us in the most direct way, to exercise self-rule in the way that you understand, making the decisions that affect you as individuals, your families, and your communities. And that's not too much to ask. Right? It's a simple proposition. It's really the answer for our common future. Right? And I ask you to join with us, making Canada the kind of country it deserves to be. A country that's fair and just to all of its citizens, including First Nations people. I'll tell you what I just experienced a couple of days ago, and I will conclude my remarks with that. I was invited by the Beers and the First Nation community of Attawapiskat to visit the community, see what's happening in that community, and to do a tour site of the De Beers open pit mine. And it was a real eye-opener for me. De Beers considers this, not a massive undertaking, but it's still a $1 billion investment that will result in about $4 billion in the gross domestic product for that region, and $6 billion plus for gross domestic product for Ontario. And it represents about 350 jobs directly on the site, about 1,100 spillover jobs. This stage represents huge success. Right? And the reason for that is because this company understands this notion, really a legal requirement, the duty to consult and accommodation. And there's no magic to that. Right? It's really sitting down and engaging the community in a respectful dialogue. And through that dialogue and process, concluding MOUs and impact benefit agreements and whatnot. So, as I said, it was a real eye-opener. But what shocked me and saddened me greatly, and I've traveled across this country and I've experienced this too much, is the conditions that people are forced to live in there, not by design, right on, not by their design or by their choosing, but circumstances beyond their control. And I spoke about this last night at a housing forum that was at the council chambers here City Hall, and Chiefs Montour and Forum and Regional Chief Angus Toulouse were with me. I met with Chief and Council, right? And each one that spoke there pleaded with me to help them get a new school. Right? There are over 400 kids in that community, and it's not a large community. Their school that has been condemned and it sits in disrepair. It was built on contaminated soil. Right? So it's been condemned for 8 years. 8 years. And these kids, 400 beautiful children, have been schooled in these portable units that were offered to the community as interim facilities. And now going to the 8th year, they've been told that they're going to have to wait for another 5 years before they can hope to have a new school. And I was disappointed, obviously, that I couldn't say more to the council to assure them that we were going to work together and we were going to be successful in bringing a new school. I couldn't give them that comfort. And when I left the council chambers in their community government center, their ban office, I was met with kids, 2 to 400 kids there, pleading with me as national chief to get them a new school. Placards, right? Yeah. And these are little kids, right? As young as 4 years old, no older than 12. Can you imagine for a moment if your child or grandchild were forced into a situation that's a common experience of that community and far too many of our people? This is our future. This is Canada's future. And we're treating our future in that way. Completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. You wouldn't stand for that here in Toronto, right? Or anywhere in Ontario or in any part of Canada. We have to do something about that. These kids deserve the best we can do for them. Right? And so when I say stand with us, we mean that very sincerely. We need your help and support. Thank you very much.
I'm just wondering, in terms of social responsibility, and De Beers is in there mining, bringing out diamonds and things like that, what role they should have in helping build that school for the Attawapiskat kids?
In fact, De Beers has expressed its part of their responsibility in a very direct way. They've contributed $1 million to extend the high school so that it becomes also a training center. Because the average, I think, grade level there is grade 8, and so people there that wish to be employed in the project have to upgrade, and this particular center is going to serve that need. But we have to keep in mind, and this is very important, that the relationship between De Beers and Attawapiskat and the surrounding First Nation communities is essentially a business relationship. It's a partnership. Governments have an ongoing responsibility, and we can't, push aside that responsibility. What we see there is neglect, years of neglect. And there's no reason for that. Now the community has been told, as I said, they're going to have to wait because the resource base here is so tight. We're dealing with scarce resources, and so government has to decide where they're going to allocate these scarce resources. But what is really frightening here is that I spoke to senior officials from the department about that situation. And what I was told, as I pointed out last night, that while this is a desperate situation, it is not the worst. That there are situations that are even worse than what I saw there. And that's tragic.